So hey Jordan, what's going on here? For anyone else, there are timestamps in case you want to skip this opening and intro by the game and me, because I have to explain what we're doing here for a moment. Also, I had to change the volume outside of the game because this, for some reason, is apparently calculated on a different volume, so it's not controlled by the in-game BGM, sound effects, or voice, which, interesting choice, but, I mean, as I go through this playthrough, at least this first one, we're gonna do at least one, I'm gonna try to do two, but for this week, when you are watching this, I assume, if you're watching this when this video comes out, assumably, I am going to do at least one or two playthroughs, but this is the first one, and to move on, so if I say anything in terms of what I know about Princess Maker 2, or just in general, then I will try to preface it by saying something that we can observably see, obviously, or that I know for sure, but most of the time it's observation. I don't even trust myself half the time, and if I assume that something is an assumption, or I don't have enough concrete evidence, then I will say that, yeah, I don't have concrete evidence, it's an assumption, or I'll say something like that. I will tell you when I'm presuming things. But I have heard things here and there, or read things here and there as well, but in the end, a lot of it, what I wanted to say was speculation. So, without further ado, just to check really quickly, in case this is your first Princess Maker 2 Regeneration video, at least the language and the text speed can go up to 500%. What? How low can it go, actually? 100%, okay. Display status is the stats on the right side, and English, Korean, Traditional Chinese, Simplified Chinese, and Japanese, and that's all we have. And then the full screen option is, I don't even want to touch that because that'll mess with OBS, but we'll get into it in a moment. Let me just actually check some. Oh no, OBS! Oh no, OBS! But no, basically when you unfocus from the game, and I had to confirm this for the. I had to confirm this for Refine at least, as I actually typed this in. I forgot about that, but yeah, in Refine, when you click out of the game, or you know, in my case, hit the Windows key and bring up the Windows bar, because I'm on a Windows system for this setup, then yeah, the game goes out of focus for regeneration, whereas in Refine, the game continues going. So that's a small little nitpick some people may have, at least when I'm doing other things like game dev writing and whatnot, then, or, editing and or rendering a video, I kind of wanted to be able to do multiple things at the same time. What are we gonna do? I think I just want Venus, so I'm gonna do April 20th for funsies. But more importantly, this is gonna be a hero run as I get into explaining what the heck we're actually doing, because Future Jordan probably has to put timestamps somewhere. I'm gonna do November 10th, and we're going to, oh, I forgot, I think we want A. Is this morality? I know O is nothing and B is stress reduction, but, well, either way, we'll deal with it. But as we get into the game proper, yes, it is functionally the same as Refine. I don't think really anything has changed gameplay-wise. I need to repeat, gameplay-wise. But the end goal is for our daughter to become a heroine who uses the sword, and not magic, because that is, I wouldn't say by far easier, but I feel it's easier. But in the most case, the other side of regeneration is, hey, it's nice that, oh, and I need it in one try. But the translation is a bit nicer. There are some odd things that are refined here and there, aside from program or technical bugs where text just flies in and out for almost no reason. That's all I can say for now. When it happens, I'll let you know to the best of my ability, because I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but I do know that it happened, so that is observable. But let's make a save, because we'll save here in case the game crashes. Otherwise, you just have to take me at my word that I'm not loading it and showing you a video of some other runs. We don't need to change the diet either. This should be more than controllable, but we're not going to do anything fancy here. We're just going to do Farm and Church for like 2 to 3 years. In fact, I can even do it more, because we're not going for certain endings. So, theoretically speaking, we should get the ending we're trying to do. For those who've never seen me at all, anywhere, then I mainly focus on the gameplay, and in specific to Princess Maker 2, I do know a little bit of Princess Maker 2. Enough to tell you that, yeah, without enough stamina and or morality/faith, your daughter is not going to have a fun time, and neither will the father. But for the moment, we can work with what we've got. We don't need a relationship for Cube or the father either, so we should be free to do this. If I want to take a risk, I should do church before resting, but we're just gonna go forward with... I would rather... Well, it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't actually matter. This whole thing doesn't matter. There's no reason to fully optimize this game. I mean, unless you really feel like it, or you're doing some kind of challenge, but for the most part... And for those who don't know Princess Maker 2 at all, this is a raising simulator where you raise a goddaughter from age 10 to age 18, and the moment your daughter hits age 18, the game ends. So that's that. The larger appeal of the game in general is the journey that you take and the destination you end up in when your daughter or the game reaches the end, or your daughter reaches the age of 18. So it is your imperative as the player father to do your best to raise her. Now, that being said, I think we need morality for this ending, but that being said, again, between Refine, the original Refine and Regeneration, there are changes here and there, but they're not really they don't really affect the gameplay. So obviously between Refine and Regeneration, there have been graphics changes, so that's really all we can say about that on that front. You know, yeah, I might as well just do this. I might as well heal as much recover as much stress as possible before I do the farm. The farm is by far the biggest stress maker at this point. Although, if I want to go really out of my mind, I can just proceed not to get summer or winter dresses, but if I do that and we get a hot summer or a cold winter, we just tank the daughter's stamina for no reason, so... yeah. So, Jordan, what do I want to say as I ask myself for pretty much no reason? What do I know about the localization? Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I know anyone personally, but neither the developers, publishers, localization team of any language, really. But from what I've read and heard, yeah, there's been a lot of hard work put into the game. But of course, if we were to reverse the chessboard, oh my goodness, my voice. Reverse the chessboard for a moment, yes. Some people will say, well, Jordan, isn't the end product all the consumer really cares about? And for better or worse, and I say for worse, yes, unfortunately. But for good reason, you still want to please the customer. But at the same time, it's easy to forget the work that went in. Now, criticism where criticism is due. Like, if there's something that the game needs, a game, not just Princess Maker 2 Regeneration, needs to improve on, then yeah, you should probably improve on it. Or, you know, in this case, patch things like the technical graphical bugs. But in terms of actually making changes to parts of the game, that is to the... What do I want to say? Not imperative, but that's the best word I can think of at the moment. The imperative of whoever is in charge and whoever can do it, because I don't know for sure what the behind-the-scenes programming was behind Regeneration, but there's there still are definitely some issues here and there. I think a lot of them appear when you try to sit down and play the game for a long time, which, funny enough, if you're doing a quicker run, you will likely be sitting there for a while, but I think we don't lower stress all the way to 0, which is actually what we want. Because if you are lowering stress, so I have a background in FF14, and I have now gathered the stigma that is overhealing, and for those who don't know what that entails that if my stress reduces by the daughter resting to 0, then theoretically speaking, if I perfectly hit 0, it's fine. But for example, if one resting period removes 50 stress, but I only have 30 stress to reduce, then I have overhealed or over-recovered. I have wasted time and or resources. But if my stress is at 10, or a 60, sorry, 60, I'm looking at the end result. If your stress is at 60, but then you recover 50 stress, then obviously you don't reduce stress to 0, but at least you haven't wasted stress. You have gone positive on the amount, or at least broke even on the amount of resources you use to recover. And so that's what I'm looking at here. And thankfully, as it relates to Princess Maker 2 in general, that is to your benefit, because all the game really cares about stress-wise, usually, is your stamina is higher than your stress, and then the greater of your morality or faith to manage stress. That way, if I say this, at least you have learned something about the game, and I'm 99.99% sure, 99.99% sure, yes, that's how you say it, that is correct. And if I'm wrong, again, anyone is free, whether you know the information or you're a veteran in Princess Maker 2 specifically, to correct me. But yes, this is all the first 1 or 2 years is going to be. It's going to be me sitting here having the daughter do farm work. I mean, the father may have done farm work, right? But I don't know the greater lore that exists other than the game itself, because unfortunately, I don't have the mainly resources to get anything else for games that I like. For example, graphic novels, manga, novels, that spin-off games even. So I've got to choose carefully what I want to get. And why get a spin-off or something that supplements the game if I don't even have the game? I think when I have enough money, I should be giving the daughter money, because it's 10 stress reduced per day of resting. But if I need the gold, which I'll have a lot of after 2 to 3 years, again, I can do that pretty comfortably, because all we need to do is increase the fighter reputation, I don't know how I want to say it. I'm going to say one of the three, just know that that's what I mean. But I shouldn't have rested. You know why I shouldn't have rested? Because when you rest here, you rest for 30 days, and there's no point entering unless you're doing a very specific set of strats. But for the moment, as I hit my microphone on accident with my finger, for the moment, we don't need to do anything. Again, this ending is actually not as fancy as it seems, but you still need to know what you're doing. Oh, do I even want to do this? I do want to do this. So I guess we're going to immediately... No, we're not. We're going to play it safe. What I mean by that is, so there are 2 ways you can deal with what I just ran into, in my mind anyway. You can immediately use the ring in the way that you expect it to be used, or the game has designed it for it to be used, or you can wait later where you can go in. And the reason why it's RNG is that if I do an errantry in this video, then you will see what I mean. Also, I'm kind of scared for the moment because I did not check, so hopefully, I mean, if you're watching and or listening to this video, then everything's gone fine. But if not, then what I'm worried about is that I accidentally messed up some settings on OBS. But as it relates to an egg, and as a dog barks outside the church in real life beyond the 4th wall, as it relates to the spirit ring, you're supposed to give the spirit ring to a... Also, by the way, this whole series is going to be spoilers, so if you want to play the game yourself, please get it yourself, because I'm not going to go over everything, possibly. But the spirit ring, you're supposed to give it to a spirit in the desert errantry, noted here. And the problem for early game, usually, is reaching that place, because if your stats are not high enough, I'm just going to say that real generally for now, then what happens is you don't even make it there, because you need to hope that you run and or hide from every enemy that you run into. And if you don't run away, you're not going to beat the enemy because your daughter's too weak to beat them. So all that happens is Cube saves your daughter, and you get nothing accomplished. At minimum, though, if I were to have done something like that, I would have probably just gone for a treasure chest here and there anyway. There's about, like, what, 1,800 gold plus any items to sell there, which is probably like 3,000 gold to grab at the desert, but for the most part, it is down to RNG, because while it is possible, it is certainly not as likely for you to make it through the whole desert in one piece, if even to make it to the desert for the spirit ring, to give the spirit ring to the spirit. That being said, actually, I should probably give her money if I want to rush the thingamajiggy, but I think we'll be fine. Again, I'm gonna stick with this strategy for a bit, at least this run. And in case those who don't know, those who do know, but I might as well say it here, because this is a more formal video to start off this series of, at least of Princess Maker 2 Regeneration, for people who might just be coming into this channel for the first time. So I have several dogs, and when I say I mean me and the people around me, or I and the people around me. And we have at least 2 dogs. One of those dogs is, they want comfort, and the second dog is in a spot of comfort. And so the first dog wants the second dog to move, and the first dog is the alpha, but the problem is, the first dog respects the second dog, who is a female dog, who can absolutely put the first dog in his place. So, so all he can do is bark, and that is what we have this video. By the way, yeah, there's very little audio treatment I can do to the recording area around me, so patron gods forbid of Princess Maker 2 that I even managed to actually make a soundproofed room. But I mean, I guess you could say, well, Jordan, if you cared enough about making videos and streaming, you should do something about it. And all I can say is, yeah, you're right. Also, rip my stamina, by the way. Hey, you know what I just said earlier about getting winter clothes and not getting winter clothes? This. So, without further ado, we can still live with this. Again, it's not like the ending we're going for. And in fact, none of the endings really... well, aside from maybe a few of them, require you to be very, very optimal, and definitely not the most optimal. You can definitely try hard this game harder than you need to, but as we get absolutely demolished from our thing here, yeah, not much we can do but rest. So we might as well, yeah, let's just take this in the face. Yes, I did forget in the meanwhile. I often forget if I choose to go, hey, I can live without buying clothes for the daughter for a while, winter or summer clothes, I will often forget, so... there's really no reason for that to happen either. Because, well, you have enough gold to buy both seasonal clothing anyway. The problem is that, well... if you're feeling lucky, you could go... maybe you can go the whole game through it. I don't know if it's truly random, but it's probably not a good idea because the odds are, at least once in a run, the season will change. So all we can do now is this, or all we should do now is this, and we're going to continue doing this, and we'll live with it. Again, since we're doing this for like 1 or 2 years, our stamina should be more than healthy enough for the purposes of what we plan to do. But... that was not good. To lose a month and probably more. It's not just a month of progress I lost, it's a month plus any recovery I need to do, because that does tank your stamina by quite a bit, if not like a third or fourth. It looked like a fourth, but I don't know the exact number for sure. And off we go. No, dogs! I'm not gonna edit this out, because this first part is probably just gonna be a video, so as we sit through here... calm down. Hey, calm down. You silly dogs. You silly dogs, as I also play the game in the background, but also, hey! Hey, why you do the things you do? Why do you do the things you do? Why? Why do this? If I fail one of these farm works, fine, but it should be perfectly fine. RIP relationship with father, but... relationship points with father, but we're gonna have to do it. Yeah, it's okay. You're gonna probably start barking again as my voice breaks, but it's fine. This is all for the sake of you, future Jordan, so you don't have to edit anything because I didn't even prepare an end screen, so... but we'll see what happens. So yeah, this should work out, even though I do gain more stress than stamina, but yeah, she made mistakes here, and so I don't even get the 50% bonus. That's pretty important. I can buy her a doll, but I think instead I want to buy her... there's something else I needed to buy. Or was it sensitivity? Well, I can't remember at the moment. So, for now, let's just grab a doll. Or no, is that just... no, that's just a dead item if I get it. So instead, we're... no... actually, we'll get intelligence. We'll get intelligence just in case, but we probably don't need it, all things considered. Well, actually we might, but for the moment, here we go. So each one of these should be 10 stress reduction, if I recall correctly? Yes. And off we go. I mean, since... even if this video ends at like the age of 13, we have enough time to course correct. So really, the beginning of the game is all about setting yourself up for victory. But you can also just... again, depends on what you're going for. If you're going for a more sophisticated ending, shall we say, then yes, you do need to take steps to do something else. So, back to the farm we go. And we'll just do it 3 times. Completely forgot what I was talking about before taking care of the dogs, but again, this is fine. I was talking about the winter-summer clothes. Again, those are really the only effects, just to state it outright. If I make a mistake somewhere, please correct me, but for the most part, that's really all the summer and or winter dress does. Now, a fun fact about those 2 things is that if your daughter is already wearing the appropriate seasonal clothing when the heat wave and or cold winter hits, you don't get anything for it, aside from avoiding the bad effects, obviously. But if your daughter therefore switches clothes, whether it's her casual dress or a dress that you bought her, cotton dress, so on and so forth, that replaces her attire on screen, or changes stats, then she gets a 5 stress reduction. While that might not be a lot later in the run, it is still important to note because, well, any little bit can be the difference between your daughter getting sick and or her becoming delinquent if the situation so arises. Usually you have a good handle on things, but if you're like me and forget things at times, then you're gonna forget things at times. All I can do is laugh. That being said, again, we're probably just gonna play it really, really safe, although at the age of 14 and 15, I think I really want to speed things up, but we'll see if we can. So that's why I'm kind of limiting myself to the age of 12 for the daughter before I start doing other stuff. So that's all I can really say. That being said, it's not like I need morality and or faith this high, I don't believe, but I guess I'll make a check afterward. This is theoretically a 20-30-year-old game, so excuse me if I take a peek at information here and there that exists. Although I feel pretty sure that she needs morality for the best hero ending, question mark, or variation, really. But if you're going for points, I mean, if you care about it. Otherwise, farm is probably the most important part of this. It's just that raising faith and or morality, as I mentioned before, helps out the stress threshold. And since my sensitivity, the daughter's sensitivity is not all that high, yeah, we don't really have a reliable way to get rid of stress for the time we spend. Aside from 100 stress per, but I don't want to spend gold if possible, so shrug. That being said, what I could do is immediately take 3 to 6 science classes and then go out on errantry, but I still would rather do anything else, so I guess it'll depend on what I decide to do. Basically, as long as my daughter's defense is at 0, we are going to have a bad time on errantry. That's basically the gist of things. Now, I could get armor, but it's only going to help so much. Realistically, yes, I should just get at least leather armor, but I could also rush the winter errantry and grab one of the better weapons, but we're not going to do that either. So we're just going to play it safe, as I said, and continue doing this. Now, I could visit the ocean and reduce the daughter's weight, but no real reason to do that at all in this run. If I were going for other objectives in-game, then yes, I would need to reduce her weight. But otherwise, I mean, there's no point doing anything else at the moment. So yeah. I should have taken time off. I don't know why I did what I did, but it's fine. As it relates to Refine versus Regeneration, though, Refine, I could have done this all in about, like, 10 minutes time tops, from the very beginning to age 11, and I would be just fine. Don't let it be said that Regeneration is slower gameplay-wise overall, just because the speed options are lower on objectively than Refine. Refine has a no-weight option where text just flies no weight, literally, and then the animations pretty much play literally as well. I don't know why specifically. Oh, I made a mistake here. Well, is this morality as well? Glamour, Refine. I feel like this is morality, or is it sensitivity? I should not have done this to myself. I should have used my gold. I have made a mistake, but anywho, I forgot what I know what the unicorn. I know how to use the unicorn flute. I forgot what exactly it gives. I think it's sensitivity, but I feel like it was something else. I mean, for giggles, nah, I need the gold. Bye. Let's remember to use the gold though. I'm losing out by missing out on the merchant here, but it's not the worst thing in the world either. So, without further ado, let's actually do this. If I'm gonna be doing things like this. Actually, let's do this first. And in fact, you can raise R-A-I-S-E, I believe, the daughter's sensitivity through mountain vacations, but it's quite a slow process. That being said, ooh, I realized my kind of mistake, but I think we'll be fine. Yeah, I think we just need to take the chance. So forget what I said earlier. We are going out on errantry at least a few times. We're gonna try a few times. We won't need armor because we'll die regardless. But I promised you we're trying to do the best we can. Also, I don't know why I did that when I'm going to be skipping the tournament anyway. So, whoopsie doopsie. But as we watch daughter kick at training post, the essence of Wing Chun. But yeah, I wasted money there because I'm just going to be resting during the month of October anyway. So, already made 2 big mistakes. But I think we should still be okay. Just to say it outright, if you reach this far, then you don't mind spoilers as much. But just to let you know, for the next 20 seconds, starting about 5 seconds, I'm going to spoil something in terms of the stat requirements. So, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, you need 421 fighting reputation. And if you're not sure, just raise it as high as possible. 415 is definitely more than enough. But I feel like the number was 421. But unfortunately, we did not make it past. So, I hope the daughter runs away with her morale at 0. And we're gonna rest to be safe. Again, more stamina does help, but you're still gambling on RNG because your daughter has to choose to run. And I don't know exactly what entails that decision, but it's important. So, funny enough, having a low fighting reputation here would actually help out a lot more. But the question is, do I want to do anything else? I guess we're gonna see. Yeah, I'm too used to just hoarding a bunch of gold, and I forgot about the traveling merchant. Again, not like it's the most important thing. We're gonna skip this for now, by the way. We're on the left side here. And yeah, so I shouldn't be holding on to gold. I should use it when I have it, but I just want to increase stamina and strength on the side, but mainly stamina. And morality when morality is due, but I can't remember. Hopefully I am on the blood type for the daughter that increases morality, because that is quite a significant boost. I believe it's 3 morality per month, but 2 stress. The stress is more than manageable. It's the thing as the game slows down for me. Again, I'm on a weaker setup. I should have recorded this on a... I'm probably going to change the setup here. But as we get visited by the spirit of the spring, in the middle of this desert... In the cave, actually. Yeah, turns out we've been holding on to an egg. I think the merchant even says so somewhere, or unless that was a mistranslation by Refine. I forgot because I wasn't exactly reading throughout this recording, but we do want to give this back. If nothing else, it gives me enough sensitivity to go somewhere and set the daughter's stress to 0. But more importantly, this will give me money in about a year's time. Now again, unfortunately, this is going to come at a very late moment, but if I want to try and win the next combat tournament after the one this year, what I would probably want to do is increase magic, but because we're going to go big Unga Bunga Monkey Sword brute force, we are going to hold off on that. Now that does mean that we're going to spend more time in the martial arts class, but that's just the price we pay for choosing to do that. That being said, magic defense is not a bad idea. So even though I'm not ever using magic, I think aside from a few, I think only really 2 fights, I don't need magic defense. Magic defense is pretty much a non-issue for the most part. Because even if something eventually casts, unless you're really unlucky of course, but there are enemies that can cast magic, but they often are paired with the ability to do physical attacks, which means defense is most likely key, because enemies decide to most of the time hit you with physical attacks. And just in general, you're going to get hit by a lot of physical attacks, so turns out you need defense. But for the purposes of this run, as I blow out the mic, really, why are my settings like this? For the purposes of this run, we do want to focus on defense. If you can get magic defense for whatever reason, fine, but that's probably not going to happen. I just realized that since I'm playing Regeneration, I can actually use WASD. You cannot use WASD on your keyboard in Refine for whatever. Well, I mean, I can guess the reason. This is going to be an assumption, but I assume because I don't even know what game engine Refine was made in, as we are forced into this fight. But it does not... It either wasn't programmed in, because you can surely program something like that in, as Cube saves our daughter before we get the last treasure chest. But it wasn't programmed that way, whereas Regeneration, at least we have WASD. Again, there are some quality of life things, the stats always existing on the right side if you so choose, being one of them. But as we save our progress here. Yeah, the Wasset is a nice one too, because depending on your keyboard, your arrow keys may not be in the most favorable position. That I know, because I've played with different setups before, and for some reason some setups, laptops, computers, keyboards, or just setups in general, USB keyboards, decide to have their arrow keys a lot smaller than humans, even just a human nail. So, I'm shrugging in real life, there's not much more to say. So we don't want the merchant to come again. Well, actually we can have the merchant come again, but we can't use the spirit ring. So actually, you know what? We will do this. Especially since we have stress to spend, but more importantly, we'll still do a balance between farming. We want to do more farm, but we want to do church, because I think we need morality. If it isn't sensitivity, and if it is sensitivity, we can work at that as well. Again, we should have more than enough time to course correct. But if we can't, pain. That's all I can really say on that. We definitely don't need refinement. That I remember for sure. It will help our score, but again, we don't care about that for this run. I'll let you know when we're doing a run and or series of Princess Maker 2 Regeneration videos where I'm doing something that, you know, no one's going to give me a trophy for, but I'll feel good about it. So yeah, I'm just gonna do morality's probably the easier of the two. Harder of the two, so I'm going completely insane. Sensitivity is by far easier to raise, raise, R-A-I-S-E is for when you are lifting something, and rise is for something rising itself. But you get what I mean at this point, as we should be nearing the end of this video. I promise you that the future videos, we might even only do a year, because errantries, they eat a lot of your time. But let's make sure that we get to this, shall we? We have about we can do like jobs for like 2 to 3 full months. Again, or for those who don't know, each job does have its own stress increase per day. Farm being one of the more stressful ones, but there are definitely jobs that stress out your daughter faster. And as it turns out, a lot of them are ones that also increase your daughter's sin stat. So, shrug. But yes, it would be nice to increase our stress threshold as well. That way, if we want to, I mean, the larger use of this is that the higher your stress thresholds, especially with the one way to, again, as I said, set stress to 0, you can increase your stress up to like 400 if you can, and then just do one thing and your stress is at 0, and therefore you have like half a year's time to do anything you want without needing to worry about stress. But as we sit here for a moment, we're still gonna do farm here, but I think at a certain point, we do want to recover stress. If nothing else, we will visit the mountain vacation to manage stress while increasing sensitivity. Sensitivity is a good stat to raise in general, so there are some jobs and or I think even studies that can reduce it. I can't remember. But there are ways to decrease sensitivity, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what you're going for. Again, it's hard to find an ending where you, without thought, you can just do anything you want, or do the same use the same strategy, because, again, of how stats increase and decrease in this game depending on the actions you take, and or the events you run into. But I think for the sake of the thing, hopefully we can visit the thing. Actually, you know what? I'm only going to do it once because now I'm scared. But we will do one church and one farm. Period. And we'll see. Okay, we can go on the winter vacation to the mountains and enjoy, because these graphics were updated or changed, or updated, I guess is more accurate, because it's not like it's been completely changed, for Regeneration compared to Refine, and then Refine was touched up from the OG version, if I recall correctly. I'm not sure about that though. So I feel like hero fighting reputation hero daughter is morality, but I could still be wrong. I feel like it's sensitivity though for some reason. Well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. That's just the end of it. But as we near the birthday here, again, this is how the run is going to change. You're definitely going to see more action. It's just that this is, I feel, if I were to make a tips video, which I did plan to do at some point, I did want to, as a dog barks in the background, I did want to mention the way of, you know, farm and church I think are the more consistent starts. Now, how long you want to do them for, you can try not to do them at all. You can do them for a month, 3 months, 6 months, up to 1 year or 2 years like I'm doing. However much you feel comfortable with, but again, it also depends on what you're going for. If you're completely new to the game, do anything you want, experiment, but for the most part, I mean, in the span of 20-30 years, the Princess Maker 2 has been figured out as a game, nearly as a whole. So, but again, if you don't know what you're doing, then obviously there's, immerse yourself and have fun, because that is a big part of the appeal of Princess Maker 2. You can immerse yourself into an anime world where you are raising goddaughter as a father figure to the daughter. And I think the game assumes that you are playing as a male father because your daughter specifically asks, as an odd end side piece of trivia, she's like, "Oh, you're from the Far East. I'd like to go there someday." So, yeah, that. By the way, here's the traveling merchant again. We're gonna do the spirit ring because if we need sensitivity, that would be nice. But at the same time, yeah, things. So, without further ado, I think we're gonna take time off first. In fact, we're gonna do it twice. And we're gonna go to the mountains, but we also want to start studying into at least martial arts. This is one of the stable ways to increase defense, because otherwise, mainly, you are equipping armor. Armor can and usually is a big boost to your defense in general. But as most items are in this game that are equipped or held in inventory, they provide their uses in inventory, so if you don't have them, for whatever reason, then all you have is the martial arts class to increase your defense slowly but surely. Once you get that defense, it's pretty much never leaving. So, and I think it may be one of the only stats that you can never decrease once you train into it. But that's, I mean, when I say that, I mean in a stable way. You can, I think, no, it's combat skill that decreases, I believe. But anywho, as we get into the birthday here, and Wendy gives us our item, I think we're gonna go for sensitive, no, book still. Who am I kidding, book? If for no other reason than to try and hide from enemies. But at some point, we probably want to just take three science classes just to be sure. The strategy class is nice, but I think it reduces something I don't want it to reduce, and I think it's actually specifically sensitivity. So, and if it's not that, again, I mean, Future Jordan will just look it up right away. But we won't get defense until we increase the grade of our martial arts class. So as we get the Huntress or Mason jobs available. Huntress good for increasing combat skill, but it raises Sin. But I think that'll be the end of this video. I don't have an end screen recorded, so all I can really do is go back to the main menu. And then Future Jordan will just put the end screen on screen. So yeah, without further ado, if you want to support me for any reason, you know what to do. Comment, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. But if you want to direct my support or your support to have me do something, please comment and make suggestions or ask questions or anything else. But without that further ado, thank you for watching and I'll see you later. Bye!